What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Casual Podcast with your boy Brian, the Casual Brian. Today's stream is brought to you by the Casual Brand. Casual Brand, we got lots of pages for you to check out. We got lots of clothes for you to check out, so be sure to check us out. You can find us primarily on Instagram, but we have other spaces. But again, we're primarily on Instagram. And if you want to go to the Casual Brand page, and there's links to all of our pages, and you can go to my personal page. I believe I have links out to my pages. So thank you for stopping by. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So it is a pleasure to have you all stop by. And if you have not already followed, be sure to hit the follow button. We're live Monday through Friday. We're doing the streams in the morning between the 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock hour. And then we post the podcast later on that day between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, how's everybody doing today? Oh, it's my first week back in New York. And so coming to the end of the week and getting my bearings. It always takes me about 2 weeks to adjust to getting back to New York. 1 week is just kind of like I go easy on myself. I don't try to put too much on myself on my calendar. I mean, I can't control my calendar per se, but I just try to ease back into it. I'm really one thing that I'm big into. So there's a couple things I'm big into, but the main thing for this year is balance. Um, I'm writing my book. I think I've announced that. I don't know. I guess I haven't announced it, but that's the announcement. I'm writing a book this year. I'm releasing a book this year. It's called Balancing Act. I'm very excited about it. I've been thinking about it for a minute, and I've been thinking what I could do to provide the most value um, for my communities. And I think that one of the insights I have is living a balanced life. It also came from looking at my life last year, which I consider to be my best year thus far. In every area of my life, I felt I was good. Now that didn't mean that I didn't have bad days. And in fact, in particular, I had one moment in the year where I burnt out. And I just thought I've been thinking about that time and trying to figure out, well, what was it that caused me to burn out? And it was balance. My life was completely out of balance. And so, through the year, I'll be talking about little parts of balancing, and really what the book's going to be for is to help you determine if your life is out of balance. What are the things to look for? What are the signs? And then ways to balance your life, to find balance again, because balance is a fluid, flexible thing. Uh, my life being in balance in New York is completely different when I'm pretty much on vacation in Florida. I have less to juggle. I have more time available. You know, it's just you got, and there's a. It's really important that you are able to kind of look at yourself and say honestly, am I tired? Do I have emotional availability to talk with somebody, to talk with my partner, to talk with my friends? Am I showing up with my friends? Am I spending all my time with my friends and then I don't have any time for anything else? Am I doing anything to educate myself? It's not going to be like a cookie cutter thing. This is balance. Balance is different for some people. For some people, balance is doing jujitsu 2 times a day in the morning and at night, and then watching YouTube videos. That's their balance. But you have to be honest with yourself, and there are little signs that let you know that you're probably not living in balance. Are you constantly tired? Do you constantly feel down? Meaning like you're not really optimistic about anything. If you're not, I understand that people go through things, but if all year long you never really feel optimistic about any day, any time, you're probably not in a good place. You're probably not living balance. So I'm excited about that. Um, I haven't really got a chance to work on it that much because again, like I said, I try to ease in. I'm that's what I was getting at. Sorry. Your boy is in a ranting mood today. Like every day. So balance is important, but transitions. transitions are important. And I think you know, the expression hit the ground running, I don't like that. I don't want to hit the ground, first of all. And I definitely don't want to hit it and run. Sometimes it's inevitable. Sometimes you do like, um, sometimes you just have projects, but I'm all about transitioning and preparing. If I know I got to travel, I want to start getting my mindset into the next place I'm going to be. Um, and there's a whole bunch of ways you can do that. Like if you're going on vacation, start looking at videos. What are the best things to do in this place? What are some of the best features? I want to go to I'm hoping to go to Portugal this year. So I'm starting looking at videos. I started looking at researching videos so that when I get there, I'll be prepared. I'll be in the mindset, I'm going to start easing off the pedal. So I'm not working hard all the way up. That's something a lot of people do. They'll work really hard all the way up until the time for their holiday or their vacation. And then it takes you a couple days to kind of unwind. So, but these are best case scenarios. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're not afforded the ability to unwind. So it's not like I don't want people to feel like I'm preaching to them or saying this is like definitively the way you need to do it. But if you can, and this is also something you can strive for. And again, within your own circumstances, there is a balance. You just have to find it. So, a couple things I want to talk about. I don't know if I'm going to play some video footage of it, but apparently DeSantis gave a state of the state, which is, I guess, like the State of the Union. I should know this, but I shouldn't know this. I take exception to that expression. I should know this. It's like, well, there's a lot of information. You know what I mean? Especially now. I don't think people fully realize how much information there is that we have access to. To me, we should be shifting from do you know things to your ability to move through information and process things and find things. So, yeah, it's great if you know graphic design, but can you figure it out, you know? But it's like how do you test for that? How do you find that? Google figures out how to do it. Facebook, that's how they hire. They hire people and not positions. And I think that that's just the best way to do it. I think the people over positions is always the best approach. I mean, like, especially in like my field, social media, you got to hire people, creative people, analytical people, linguistic people. You know what I mean? Just I just don't care about anybody's experience. It's so meaningless. And that's against me. When I started to get traction in social primarily through Instagram, which is my specialty, the stuff that I learned and I did was irrelevant like 2 years later. Literally 2 years later. I have to weekly check out videos from other people, some people that don't know anything what they're talking about. And the reason why is because it's moving. They're responding and reacting and leading and shaping the way that people interact with these platforms. And if you think that it's exactly the same, you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. So that's why I think it's about people. And I don't want to downplay experience because through experience you can develop problem solving abilities. That's really what it's always about. When you're working, when you hire someone to work, they're solving a problem for you. So I would like to have more clients, but I have a delicate balance between more clients and then paying more to my employees. Right now, I've had 3 employees, and right now I have one. Um, and it's a tricky dance because you need the clients to have the employees, and if a client leaves, then you're in a tough space. But when I have those employees, I need them to solve the problem for me. The problem is I only have so much time. There's only so much I can do. And I think that social media is a very, very, it's not complicated. Now, the creative and finding strategies that'll work, that are best for your particular thing, That's the complicated issue. That's the problem solving issue. So that's what I think I'm good at. Figuring out how to grow a jazz page versus growing a MMA page. Excuse me. That was that was different. Um, the jazz page took one type of thing, and then the MMA page took another type of thing. Especially considering how strict the UFC is. If the UFC wasn't so strict about their uh, sharing their stuff on Instagram, there'd be a lot more pages. I mean, some pages, some countries they don't care, like, and so they get away with it. But in America, they are pretty strict, and it better be a pretty old clip if you're trying to use it. I just try to stay away from the UFC in general because they will constantly send strikes, and you don't want to get too many strikes against your page because that goes against your authority. So yeah. So anyway, that was a long rant on knowing things, but I think it's true. I think we need to move. There's so much information. Why does it matter? Can I Google it now? I mean, now, like Google, I think it is, or the iPhone, it does math for you. I think it's good to learn these things, because I think it like expands your capacity to understand and comprehend knowledge and apply it. But man, I feel like we really need to sharpen people's ability to find out things. Like I do a lot of stuff for my parents, a lot of like IT stuff, a lot of like Google, like not Google. What is it called? What are they called? Nerd Squad stuff. But it's just troubleshooting. They call me with an issue, I get online and I look it up. And that in itself is a skill. And just saying, okay, it's not this, it's not this, it sounds like this, it sounds like this, and you're just diagnosing it, and you're trying to figure out the problem and solve it. So it's important that you solve it. But anyway, DeSantis gave a speech, and apparently he didn't say the word pandemic, COVID, or vaccine. I don't understand. DeSantis. I get the pitch. I get his claim to fame is that Florida is the freest state, and which I think is ridiculous. I mean, how can you compare freedom? I mean, like it's just kind of weird. It's weird, you know. It makes sense, but I just how can you say Florida's the freest? Are they freer than Texas? Are they freer than, I don't know, what's another state that's just not doing anything? One of the, maybe, like, what is it, Oklahoma or something? I don't know. It just I get the pitch. I just don't see it, you know, because the government is telling the local governments a lot of what they can and cannot do, and the businesses and the private businesses. You are not allowed to do this. So I don't understand how that's freedom. And it doesn't speak for everybody in the state. So then that's my issue. It's like, okay, you're saying that you're free because you don't let people do mandates, but that in itself is you flexing your authority. You can't do this. How is that free? Cruise ships are getting smashed, but they're not allowed to do vaccine mandates on the cruise ships, which is their own private businesses. You do not have a right to go on a cruise. If I want to go on a cruise to Brazil, I have to get a yellow fever shot, a vaccine. If I don't, I can't go to Brazil. I just don't understand why they're not letting private companies make their own decisions. That doesn't sound free to me. It almost sounds, I think that people have the wrong idea of what freedom really is. Freedom doesn't just mean you can do whatever you want. It's anarchy. So I don't agree that Florida is the freest. They let them do, they let you do what you want, unless you want to follow CDC guidelines. Then you can't do that. Can't make people wear masks, even though this thing's spreading like crazy. Can't do that. But they're free. Come on, man. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. How are you going to claim to be so free and like all about freedom and then tell so many people what they can and cannot do. You're literally going against yourself. A company that is in compliance with the CDC and the federal government wanting to do something for their business, and you're going to say, no, you can't because of how you feel? Where's the freedom in that? Where's the freedom? Where's the freedom? And what is your options if you don't agree with that? Sit at home. That's free. Yeah. There's a bunch of people in Florida sitting at home and doing less because they don't want to be mixed up with all that's happening. And that's directly because of DeSantis. That's directly because of the leadership in Florida not making it safe. Look, let's all be real. Let's all be honest. It appears that Omicron is uncontrollable. That's nobody's fault. That's not the left's fault. That's not the right's fault. That's nobody's fault. And the lack of testing definitely isn't the issue. It's kind of stupid, really, that we're even focusing on testing so much, because it just seems like it's just another talking point. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? If most of the people, if look, Omicron is different. And I'm blown away by the lack of flexible thinking. If it's kind of like what the CD said, if you have no symptoms, right? Then unless you come into contact with somebody, you don't need to get tested. Right? We don't need to get tested. Unless someone says, "Oh, I've been in contact with somebody," or if you have symptoms. But the tests don't save lives. That's the thing about it. The tests don't save lives. If you are sick with COVID, you're going to know it. Now, what the tests do is help keep the spread down. But we know so many people that don't get tested. We know people who get tested and they test too early. So I think there's a false narrative going out like that makes it sound like the tests are somehow important to stopping or saving people. Tests help contain spread, because if you know that you're sick with COVID, you stay in. But here's the reality. I know for a fact, I know people that have been positive with COVID and have not followed the CDC guidelines. Just straight up. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go out. I mean, what's the guy's name? Djokovic. This guy knew he had COVID, still went out maskless. It's, so I don't know. I don't know how free Florida is. I don't know how free it is for the people that don't agree with DeSantis. I don't know how free it is for the businesses that don't agree with DeSantis. I don't know how free it is for the cities that don't agree with DeSantis. I don't know how free it is for the cruise ship industry. But if you agree with them, it's one heck of a time. It's a great time to be a Floridian. I love that's happening is this feud that's happening with DeSantis and Trump. It was inevitable. DeSantis is just too popular, and there was no way that Trump was going to allow him to be more popular than him. And one thing that Trump says that I think was right, you got to be honest when people say things, is that anyone who will not say if they got the shot is gutless. You are not a leader. Period. If you have not publicly made an experience, or if you have not publicly said whether you have got the shot or you've not got the shot, you should not speak about it. Candace Owens publicly says she has not got the vaccine. Have no problem with her speaking about it. And the reason why is because you should not be able to give people advice on something if you won't tell them what you did. I got Pfizer and I got boosted. So I can talk about my experience. I can give you my opinion, because you can say, well, Brian's not telling me not to get the shot, even though he got it himself, which a lot of Republicans are doing. I don't even understand why you would listen to somebody who won't tell you if they did it. Don't smoke weed, but they're smoking weed at their house. Don't drink, but they're drinking at their house. What? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? What are you talking about? That's how I feel. Fat personal trainers. That's what they are. Except you can see if someone's fat or overweight. Is fat a bad term? I feel like you can't really say fat anymore. I feel like the better way, the more appropriate way is overweight. Because what is fat really? We don't really know, and it does have a negative connotation. It's weird how language is shifting and changing, man. Words that I would have never even thought twice about, you just can't say. And I get it. I mean, I have no tie or desire to continue to use the word fat. It's just interesting. I wonder if I said it to someone, would someone take offense? Because I would never say someone, hey, you're fat. But I would say, man, that person over there, they're pretty fat. But see, even like that, as I was saying that, I don't think I would say that. I don't think I would say, oh, the fat person or that person is fat. It's just it has a negative connotation to it. It has a negative sound and feeling. That's kind of what I'm going with. There's certain words that I said when I was younger, I won't say it anymore because when I say it, it feels weird. And if I had that weird feeling, that's what I got to go by. I have to be honest. I have to be true to myself. Even if I might not think that, like, if I'm thinking through it and being objective, there's nothing particularly wrong with saying it. If it feels weird for me to say it, probably shouldn't say it. That's what I tell all my friends who ask about saying the N word, even if it's with a. I'm like, if you feel bad about saying it, in fact, this is a good rule of thumb. If you have to ask somebody to say it, or is it okay if I say it, you probably shouldn't say it, even if they say it's okay. I had this discussion with my wife, Darcel. Um, she didn't she didn't want to say that word, but it was talking about we were talking about when you're one of only a few black people in a group, you might say certain things or ask that person for permissions to say certain things and do certain things, touch your hair, um, make comments that could be taken a certain way, and then a black person generally has to kind of like roll with the punches. They don't want to. They don't want people to feel like, oh, we gotta guard our talk when we're around this person. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough for a person to say, no, I don't like that. I don't like the way that makes me feel. I don't like to hear it. So please don't do it around me. Because then people might tend to put them in a box. I know as a black man, you have to be very, very cautious of the box of anger. They love to say that black men and black women, and I would say brown women as well, but definitely speaking from my experience as a black man, leaning into that experience, they are super quick to throw you into that box. Brian is angry. Brian is an angry black man. So, because of that, I take great care to keep my voice here, to not allow my voice. Because when I'm talking with somebody, and I'm naturally going to get animated, and my voice is going to start going and getting bigger and louder. And now I'm angry. Now I'm an angry black man. And sometimes there's things to be angry about. But nonetheless, it's so tricky. It's just like I see it all the time. I see black men and successful black men, and they always have that same tone because I could tell they've gone through their life trying to swerve that trying to swerve that box that they love to throw us in. So okay, I've talked long enough. I promised the people some live tweets. We're not gonna have a lot, but we're gonna have some because I'm a man of my word. I love that, and nobody knows that reference. Nobody knows that reference. It breaks my heart. I'm a man of my word. Heath Ledger, all-time Joker. Ooh, jazz. Listen to a little of this. Oh, you tease you, Murray James. Oh, okay. It was a start over. That's the best in jazz when you have to start over. Murray James, he's a phenomenal saxophone player. It's time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. What? I mean, it's not the best English band. Give her a break. Oh, not like you never have said something weird. Ben Shapiro, America's troll. Every interview is the dog ate my homework interview for Kamala Harris. I mean, look, I think anybody who knows me knows I'm not a big Kamala Harris fan. I'm not a Kamala Harris fan. I don't particularly like Kamala Harris. Although I respect what she's done, the history that she's made, I just think that they could have picked someone better. That being said, I think people are way too critical of her. Way too critical. I mean, because she hasn't done anything. You know, I don't know what people think vice presidents do. They're just essentially hype men, in my opinion. They don't really do anything. They're like ambassadors. That's it. Coachella to return. When I tell you I could care less about Coachella returning, I just don't. I just feel like this kind of stuff right here. I mean, now look, I've kind of moved away from music, so this doesn't mean as much to me. To a lot of artists, to a lot of musicians, this is a big deal. They're getting back to their gigs, how they make their living. But man, I don't know. Kanye West is going to headline. Ooh, I might change my mind. Tulsi torches Biden. Worse than deplorables. Joe called us traitors and racists. Yeah, well, you know what? It is what it is. How about that? We'll just leave it at that. There's a line, and if you don't like who's on your side of the line, maybe consider going back to the other side or going to the other side. Not a lot of fire. Who's that? Bon Jovi? Billionaire trophy wise ranked. That's awful. Who would do that? UFC on ESPN 32 commentary team. Okay, I don't know who that is. Anna Navarro. During Obama, McConnell was against confirming a SCOTUS nominee in an election year. During Trump, McConnell rammed through SCOTUS nominees 2 weeks before election. Regardless what D's do now, if you think given the chance McConnell won't bust a filibuster, I got a bridge to sell you. That's kind of the point, right? Republicans do what they want to do, and no one checks them. And I think the flaw of the Democrats is that they try to play in the rules, and it's like it's not going to work. That's never going to work. If the Republicans actually did what they said, so like for example, like what Anna just highlighted, they applied the same rule that they applied to Obama, which is why he couldn't get a Supreme Court justice in, to themselves, then we could say, okay, it's fair. It's things just happen. But we're in the situation we're in right now with respect to the Supreme Court because the Republicans rigged the game. So if they're going to rig the game, then change the game. When you got it, when you got the juice, change the game because they're rigging it. So who cares what they say? Who cares if Republicans are upset? They're not playing by their own rules. So change the game. They're going to be upset. They're going to be mad no matter what. So who cares? Change the game and get stuff done. You can't, you know what I mean? It's not just good enough to be like, we're trying and we got a lot of and the blah blah. No, get stuff done. And you know what? Stop trying to get all the sweeping stuff done. Get stuff done that people can easily understand. And then you can say, hey, I did this and this is how it impacts you. That's what the Democrats fail to do over and over again. Make it plain. Make it simple, and then let people know what you did. Trump told people every single thing he did. Some of the things he didn't even do. But he had no he communicated, this is what I do, this is why you should like me. Simple, super simple. And what he did, he always made sure it sounded or it was easy to understand. We Democrats need to do the same thing. But I am at my time for the day. Thank you all who stopped by. Again, if you see this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, please be sure to subscribe. I don't know how to make it stay on Twitch, and it makes me sad because I want it to stay on Twitch. So if you are a Twitch streamer and you see this and you know about how I can get this to stay up on Twitch, please let me know. Or if you have experience with StreamYard, which is what I'm using, please let me know. It would be greatly appreciated. Until the next time, until tomorrow, the last stream of the week, holla at your boy and stay casual.